Welcome. In the gentle glow of firelight, when the night whispers its secrets, this is Campfire Relics. Close your eyes, ease your breathing, and follow me through tales that comfort and calm the heart. You wake with a heavy head. The first thing you notice is silence. Not the silence of peace, but of absence. The camp around you lies deserted. The long tables sag under the weight of last night's feast. Platters of bread lie torn, their edges hardened by the night air. Meat glistens faintly in the dawn light, though its warmth has long gone. Goblets lie overturned, wine soaking into the earth, staining it in uneven shapes, shapes that look almost alive in the dirt. The air still carries the scent of smoke, of roasted meat, of too much wine, and yet no laughter follows it. Not a voice, not a step. Only the soft rustle of movement in the shadows. Cats prowl the empty tables, tails twitching, eyes glowing gold. They pounce upon the rats that scurry across plates and scraps, a dance of hunter and hunted that ignores your presence completely. For a time, you do nothing but watch. Their world is smaller, sharper, more honest than yours. You rise slowly, your body heavy, as if you have been asleep for days, or perhaps a lifetime. Your stomach growls, hollow and insistent. How long has it been since you last ate? The memory will not come. You wander through the camp. The fire pits are cold, their ashes pale as snow, soft as if scattered by the wind itself. The tents sag, ropes loosened, as though their owners left in a hurry, or were never here at all. And then, at the edge of the clearing, something pulls your eye. Smoke. Not from the camp, but from the forest. You step closer. Each stride crunches through dry grass and brittle leaves. And there, between two jagged rocks, you see fire. Not a raging blaze, not destruction, but two trees standing impossibly tall and green, while flames crawl up their trunks in slow, deliberate motion. The fire is wrong. It does not leap. It does not spread. It creeps as though time itself has slowed its hands, catching the flames in half breaths, holding them in a rhythm that never resolves. You stare, unable to look away. The sight bends your sense of time. A single spark seems to float for minutes before falling, and then beneath the crackling, you see them. Books. They lie scattered across the forest floor. Spines cracked, leather covers blackened, yet the pages, the fragile, precious pages, remain untouched. Not even the fire dares consume them. A library's children lost in the dirt. What could books be doing here in a burning forest? You kneel, lift one carefully. Its cover is warm to the touch, its weight heavier than paper alone should allow. Strange, too strange. You look up again, and your breath catches. There, behind the drifting smoke, a shape, not of tree, not of stone, but of craft. A wall, smooth, seamless, standing where no wall should stand. It blocks the forest as if the woods themselves were built around it. You step closer, hunger forgotten. The wall is impossible, a barrier that does not belong. At first it is whole, but then, when you lean close, you see it, a crack, narrow but real, as though someone had already entered. The air that drifts from within is different. It smells of parchment, of wax, and something older, something deeper. It smells of memory. You reach out and step into the crack in the wall. The library's air closes around you, warm and thick. But even as your eyes adjust to the glow of lamps, your mind drifts elsewhere. A memory rises unbidden. Perhaps it is the scent of wax and iron. Perhaps it is the hush, the quiet breath of this place. You are home. The first thing you hear is the hammer. Iron striking iron, ringing out through the evening air. The rhythm of your father's work, steady, deliberate, eternal. You see him at the forge, broad shoulders bent over the anvil, his face lined with years of labor. The sweat on his brow gleams in the firelight. He is tired, always tired, yet his deep voice carries pride, and his laughter, when it comes, still rumbles warmly at the end of each day. Beside him, your mother. Her beauty was never loud, never flaunted. It lived in her gentleness, in the way her eyes softened as she listened, in the humility that filled the house like light fills a window. Her hands smoothed the cloth, prepared the meal, tended to the smallest cracks in the world. She was beautiful not because she wished to be, but because she simply was. And your sister, always near, her gaze full of devotion, her voice soft but certain. She followed your lead, never out of fear, never out of duty, but out of love. She obeyed, yes, but her obedience was not submission. It was trust. Her laughter brightened the house. Her respect strengthened it. Her loyalty gave you a strength you never spoke of, but always carried. The house was small, its roof low, its walls plain, but it was exceptional. A place where respect was not demanded, but lived. A place where pride was not in wealth, but in harmony. A family that moved together, even in silence. You linger there. The scent of the forge, the rhythm of hammer and flame, the warmth of a meal, the glow of firelight on four faces. For a moment, nothing else exists. But then, a draft. Cool air brushes your skin. The memory falters. The forge dims. Your sister's voice fades. You open your eyes. The library waits before you. Act 2, entering the hidden library. The crack in the wall has closed behind you, and now you stand in the hidden place. Lamps burn steadily along the walls, their flames golden, unwavering, untouched by time. The carpet beneath your feet is deep crimson, so clean it seems absurd. Not a speck of dust, not a single thread out of place. The shelves rise into shadow, row upon row, endless, books bound in leather and parchment, each waiting, silent, patient. It should not exist, not here, not in this forest, and yet it does. A secret that has waited longer than memory itself. The air hums faintly, a low vibration, as though the library breathes. Every step you take feels both welcomed and observed. And at the far end, upon a pedestal, rests a single tome. Its cover dark, its surface impossibly warm. It calls to you. You step forward. The book opens without your hand. The words shimmer, sliding across the page like water until they settle into form. To pass, a line flame, shadow, and silence. The riddle does not live on the page alone. It lingers in the air, a whisper that fills the hall. You look up, and the library shifts. A candle flickers to your left. A mirror hangs crooked on the wall. And beside the pedestal, a great bronze gong waits, its surface dark with age. The puzzle is clear, but the library is in no rush, nor are you. You breathe deeply. You move first to the candle, steadying its flame. Its glow spills across the mirror, bending, forming long shadows upon the wall. Shadows that shape themselves into an arch, an opening where there was none. You strike the gong. The sound blooms, low and resonant, filling every corner, deep enough to rattle the shelves themselves. When silence follows, it is thicker than before, almost alive, almost holding its breath. The archway opens. Stone shifts, ancient, patient, inevitable. A passage reveals itself, and cool air flows from within. You step forward. The passage slopes downward, Each step colder, quieter. The air is still, not dead, but watchful. At its end lies a chamber, a tomb. The walls are carved with spirals, with constellations, with prayers in tongues no longer spoken. Every line is deliberate, etched with a reverence that has survived centuries. And at the center stands a stone door, its surface carved with three dials. One bears a flame, one bears a feather, one bears an eye. You understand without knowing why. The order matters. The sequence is everything. You pause, you breathe. The riddle rises in memory. Flame, shadow, silence. Slowly, carefully, you turn the first dial. Flame. The second, feather, light as silence. The last, the eye, perception itself. The stone door trembles. Then with the sigh of the earth, it opens. Inside lies not darkness, but light. A soft glow, steady and calm, pouring from a single object resting on a pedestal of stone. A key, it glows faintly, hums gently, as if alive. You reach for it. It warms to your touch. And you understand at once. This key is no tool for locks. It was never meant to open doors. It was meant for you. A key for the within. A key for seeing, for understanding. The library hums again, its breath slow, its silence deep. And you realize the puzzle was never built to keep you out. It was built to slow you down, to guide your eyes, to remind you to see what has always been waiting. You hold the key, and time itself feels whole again, unbroken, complete, and the library breathes with you.